Hi, in our last video, we understood what are variables and then we understood how do we use variables. However, there is one thing that you need to know before you can actually integrate your strategies. Um, Strategies on Tradetron mostly are built with the Tradetron conditions and the Tradetron keywords, right? There are very few strategies which depend on an external source for a variable and a value. So so in order to conserve resources, there is something called a API mode. Now, when your strategy is on an API mode, only then your strategy is basically checking for these external variables and the values of those variables. So let's check in this video, how do you convert your strategy into an API mode strategy and what are the different combinations available in the same. So when you go to your My Strategies page, you will see the strategy that you have built. So you will first have to build a strategy with some basic conditions. Like I have, like in the previous example, I showed you Nifty is equal to number one. Once you build your strategy, you will see your strategy in the My Strategies page. Now you need to go to these three dots. And when you go to the three dots, at the bottom you will see this API OAuth token. Alright. If you want to convert your strategy into the API mode strategy, you need to go here and you need to click on API OAuth token. When you click on API OAuth token, you will see the API link control as link and unlink. If you need to link it, it will show you link, and if it is already an API mode, it will only allow you to unlink it. Now you will see something called hybrid mode, which I will get to in some time. So once you reach this point, you simply need to click on proceed. Once you click on proceed, it has given you some details. What are these details is something we will see in the next session. But as of now, you need to know that now your strategy is on a mode wherein it is not checking for any Tradetron conditions. Your strategy will just check for your variables and the values of that variables. So you need to remember that this kind of a mode, the API mode, is only supposed to be used when your entry is coming from TradingView and the exit is also being defined from TradingView. So if you have a strategy wherein your entry and exit are both coming from TradingView and Tradetron doesn't need to check anything, no P&L conditions, no time conditions, nothing. If Tradetron doesn't need to check any of Tradetron's own keywords and Tradetron's own defined library keywords, in that case you need to use just API mode. All right. However, there are situations where, let's say, your entry is being fired from TradingView, but the exit needs to be checked using, let's say, Tradetron's condition builder, or you need to add time conditions, or you need to add P&L conditions, or you need to add trailing stop losses and so on. In that case, you need to use something called a API mode on hybrid. All right. Hybrid basically means that you are not just allowing the signals, the external signals, you are also allowing Tradetron to use its own library to check for conditions. So I'll just give you a little bit of context. Let's see this strategy. In this strategy, I have two sets. My set number one is basically having a simple condition. It has get runtime trade is equal to number one. All right. Now this is basically an example of when you should use strategy on API mode without hybrid. Like hybrid is supposed to be selected as no. This is because I'm only selecting get runtime is equal to number one. That is all that I'm selecting. There is no other condition being checked. So this means that there is no Tradetron library or Tradetron keyword that is being checked. It is just this one condition wherein I'm looking for a get runtime, the external variable, and a number for the same. So this is all that my condition builder is. So if your condition builder looks anything different, where it is having some more conditions, like I have in my set 2. In here you can see that I have the same condition, trade is equal to number one, but in addition to that I have added my own conditions like time is greater than 925, the LTP is greater than position high. All of these keywords like time, LTP, position, all of these keywords will require Tradetron's libraries to be checked. So if you need Tradetron's libraries to be checked, in that case you will have to use a hybrid mode as yes, and if you don't need it, then select it as no. So coming back to the thing, that if your strategy looks more like set 1, wherein you have only one variable and that is all that's being checked, then select API mode as a hybrid mode as no. And if you have a strategy which looks something like this, where you have multiple different conditions in addition to your external variable condition, in that case you select hybrid mode as yes. So when you want to convert a strategy onto hybrid mode, you first need to I'll first have to unlink the strategy because it was already linked before. So I'll just click on unlink, and now my strategy is out of the API control. If I want to put it on hybrid mode, I'll click on the three dots, and now I'll go to API auth token again. Now when I've come to API auth token, I need to select yes for hybrid mode. Do remember, hybrid mode needs to be selected whenever you need to have Tradetron condition checking as well as your external variable coming in. So this is a bit about hybrid mode, and you select proceed. Now your strategy is giving you the same kind of token and the same link. Again, we'll come to this link sometime soon. But the point is that now your strategy is able to check conditions of Tradetron that you have defined using Tradetron keywords, as well as using your get runtime keyword using the variable name and the value for it. So now Tradetron is acting as a dual condition check. Not just Tradetron, even the external source signal is being captured using this mode. So as I mentioned, if you want to remove the strategy from API mode, you can just click the API auth token, and you'll see unlink out here, and then you can click on proceed, and your strategy is removed from API control. So this is a very regular mistake that people make, wherein they put their strategy on API mode and then they forget about it. And then when you deploy the strategy, it is not checking for conditions. This is actually happening because you have put it on API control. So always remember, API control is very powerful, but it needs to be used selectively as it is supposed to, as you have defined the same for the strategy.